Hello. I invite you to continue this series of calm reflections on the book Our Home by André Luiz, a spiritual account of life after death, responsibility, and the maturation of consciousness through work. Chapter 32 is titled News about Veneranda. This chapter is very different from the previous one. After the dramatic encounter with the vampire, the author takes us into a space of peace, harmony, and beauty. However, it is not merely a description of the landscape of the spiritual colony. It is a chapter that shows how deeply science, nature, work, and the development of consciousness are connected in the spiritual world, and how important the role of beings is who dedicate their entire existence to serving others. During a walk through the park, André Luiz feels a special fascination with the place where he finds himself. He is surrounded by trees, gardens, and vast green spaces. However, Narcissa explains that this park is not only a place of rest. It also serves an important educational purpose. It is here that the so-called green halls were created, spaces formed entirely from nature, designed for meetings, conferences, and study. Trees form natural colonnades. Flowers and vegetation change with the seasons. And under the open sky, lectures, conversations, and gatherings of the colony's workers take place. In this way, nature itself becomes part of the process of spiritual education. Narcissa explains that this idea appeared 40 years earlier thanks to the initiative of Minister Veneranda. Her project was to create environments where the beauty of nature supports the growth of the spirit. It was not merely about aesthetics. It was about creating a setting that encourages reflection, concentration, and learning. In the spiritual world, education does not happen only inside closed buildings. It often takes place in harmony with nature. One of the most remarkable places is the hall reserved for meetings with the governor of the colony. It resembles landscapes inspired by ancient Greece. There are small canals of water, graceful bridges, miniature lakes, and arbors made of trees. The vegetation changes every month, creating different colors and atmospheres. The hall becomes most beautiful in December, during the period commemorating the birth of Jesus. At that time, the colony directs special thoughts of gratitude and hope toward the higher spiritual spheres. André listens to these descriptions with growing curiosity. However, what captures his attention most is the figure of Veneranda herself. Narcissa speaks about her with great respect. She is one of the most venerable beings in the entire colony. She has worked in our home for more than 200 years. She holds the greatest number of working hours among all the inhabitants of the city. Her life is an example of continuous service. Narcissa also recounts an extraordinary event. For years earlier, Veneranda was honored by the Brotherhoods of Light with a medal for 1 million hours of useful work. It was an immense distinction. Yet Veneranda's reaction was completely unexpected. She did not accept the award for herself. Instead, she placed the medal in the archives of the colony, saying that she did not deserve such an honor. She offered it to the entire community. And she never spoke about it again. This gesture reveals one of the most important qualities of true spiritual greatness: humility. André is deeply moved. He asks why such an elevated spirit has not yet moved on to the higher spheres. Narcissa explains that in truth her spiritual consciousness has already surpassed the level of the colony. Yet she remains in our home by her own choice. She remains there out of love. out of a sense of responsibility toward a group of souls who still live on Earth and whom she has been helping for many centuries. Her work has continued for more than 1,000 years. This chapter reveals one of the most beautiful ideas in the entire book. In the spiritual world, growth is not about gaining power or prestige. The highest value is service. The most spiritually developed beings often remain close to those who still need help. Not because they must, but because they love. Chapter 32 also shows a deep harmony between beauty, knowledge, and spirituality. In our home, education is not merely the transmission of information. It is a process of developing sensitivity, awareness, and the ability to work for the good of others. Nature, art, music, and knowledge form a single whole. This chapter also reminds us of several very important truths. That true spiritual greatness always walks hand in hand with humility. That the highest form of development is service to others. That more advanced spirits often remain close to those who are still learning. That beauty, harmony, and nature can play an important role in spiritual education. And that the greatest works of the Spirit are born not from ambition, but from love. This is a very peaceful chapter. There are no dramatic events or intense conflicts. Yet it reveals something extremely important. What spiritual maturity looks like when it reaches its true level. And it leaves us with a very simple question. In our daily lives, are we able to cultivate a spirit of service? Are we learning to work for the good of others, not for reward, but out of love? In the next chapter, André Luiz will come even closer to understanding the remarkable figure of Veneranda. The journey continues. See you soon.